Facebook promises connectivity but hides a darker reality.
Whistleblowers reveal Facebook prioritizes profit over children's safety.
Frances Haugen's testimony exposed Facebook's exploitation of children. Children's data is a goldmine for Facebook's advertising.
Advertisers target children with precision, exploiting their vulnerabilities.
This data collection harms children's mental health and well-being. Facebook's algorithm manipulates teens to maximize engagement. Teens are bombarded with harmful content affecting their mental health. Excessive social media use correlates with mental health issues.
Facebook tracks every interaction to build detailed user profiles.
This data collection fuels targeted advertising exploiting children.
Children are vulnerable to manipulative advertising tactics. Children's attention is auctioned to the highest bidder.
Real-time bidding shapes children's online experiences.
This system exploits children's limited understanding of advertising.
Data is the engine behind Facebook's profitability.
Every interaction feeds Facebook's advertising machine.
This deep understanding of users is both powerful and unsettling. Behind the seemingly innocuous act of a child opening their Facebook app lies a fierce and often invisible battle for their attention. Every time a user logs on, a real-time auction takes place, with advertisers bidding against each other for the opportunity to place their message in front of that particular individual.
This auction, driven by sophisticated algorithms and fueled by vast amounts of user data, determines which ads a child sees, shaping their online experience and influencing their perceptions of the world around them.
The bidding process takes into account a dizzying array of factors, from basic demographics like age, gender, and location, to more nuanced data points like interests, online behavior, and even inferred emotional states.
Advertisers, armed with this information, can target their messages with laser-like precision, ensuring that their ads are seen by the children and teenagers most likely to be influenced by them.
The stakes in this auction are high. Children and teenagers, with their developing brand loyalties and susceptibility to peer influence, represent a lucrative market for advertisers. Companies are willing to pay a premium to reach this demographic, knowing that the impressions they make during these formative years can have a lasting impact on their future purchasing decisions.
This auction-based system, while highly profitable for Facebook and its advertisers, raises serious ethical concerns. Critics argue that this kind of micro-targeting, particularly when directed at children, amounts to a form of digital exploitation, preying on their vulnerabilities and manipulating them for financial gain.
What makes Facebook's advertising machine so effective, and for many so ethically troubling, is its ability to leverage the very things that make children and teenagers unique: their developing identities, their desire for peer acceptance, and their susceptibility to emotional appeals.
This practice, known as micro-targeting, allows advertisers to exploit these vulnerabilities, crafting messages that resonate with a child's deepest fears and aspirations.
Imagine a child struggling with body image issues, bombarded with ads for diet products and weight loss programs, or a teenager grappling with social anxiety, targeted with ads for online games and virtual communities that promise escape and acceptance. These ads, carefully crafted to exploit these vulnerabilities, can exacerbate existing insecurities and push children towards unhealthy coping mechanisms.
The pervasiveness of micro-targeting makes it difficult for children and teenagers to distinguish between genuine content and carefully crafted marketing messages. Ads are often seamlessly integrated into their social media feeds, blurring the lines between entertainment, social connection, and commercial persuasion.
This constant exposure to targeted advertising can normalize unhealthy behaviors and create a distorted view of reality, where happiness and self-worth are measured in likes, followers, and material possessions.
While Facebook claims to have safeguards in place to prevent the exploitation of children, critics argue that these measures are often inadequate and easily circumvented. The sheer scale of Facebook's advertising operation, coupled with the speed and automation of the bidding process, makes it difficult to monitor and regulate the types of ads that children are exposed to.
The truly insidious aspect of Facebook's advertising machine lies in its ability to learn and adapt in real time. Every click, every interaction, every purchase made in response to a targeted ad provides valuable feedback, allowing the algorithms to refine their targeting and further personalize the user experience. This creates a continuous feedback loop, where children are constantly being analyzed, categorized, and manipulated based on their online behavior.
As a child interacts with more targeted ads, the algorithms learn more about their preferences, their vulnerabilities, and their susceptibility to various persuasion techniques. This information is then used to create even more effective advertising campaigns, further entrenching the child in a cycle of targeted manipulation.
This constant refinement of targeting can have a profound impact on a child's development. By constantly exposing them to information and messages that reinforce certain beliefs and behaviors, the algorithms can shape their worldview, their self-perception, and even their understanding of right and wrong.
The feedback loop of Facebook's advertising machine presents a chilling vision of the future, one where children are not only targeted by advertisers, but actively molded by them. It raises fundamental questions about free will, autonomy, and the very nature of childhood in the digital age.
A pattern of negligence. Facebook's history of fines and empty promises. Facebook's exploitation of young users is not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a deeply ingrained corporate culture that prioritizes profit over ethical considerations. The company's history is riddled with fines, lawsuits, and public apologies for privacy violations and ethical lapses. Yet the same patterns of negligence and disregard for user well-being persist. This blatant disregard for the law and for the well-being of its users, particularly its youngest and most vulnerable, raises serious questions about Facebook's commitment to ethical conduct and its willingness to operate within the bounds of the law. Time and again, Facebook has been called out for its unethical practices, only to offer empty promises of reform followed by a swift return to business as usual. This cycle of transgression and superficial repentance has eroded public trust in the company and fueled calls for greater regulation and oversight. The fines levied against Facebook, while substantial, seem to be viewed by the company as merely the cost of doing business, a financial slap on the wrist that does little to deter their pursuit of profit. One of the most egregious examples of Facebook's disregard for user privacy was the Cambridge Analytica scandal, in which the personal data of millions of Facebook users was harvested without their consent and used to target them with political advertising. This scandal, which sent shockwaves through the tech industry and beyond, exposed the vulnerability of user data in the hands of tech giants like Facebook and raised serious concerns about the potential for manipulation and exploitation. Despite facing billions of dollars in fines and a wave of public outrage, Facebook has shown a remarkable ability to weather these storms and emerge relatively unscathed. This resilience, however, can be attributed more to the company's vast wealth and lobbying power than to any genuine commitment to reform. Facebook's deep pockets allow them to hire top lawyers, influence policymakers, and shape public opinion through strategic marketing campaigns. Profit over protection internal documents expose a culture of exploitation. The true extent of Facebook's ethical failings was laid bare by the courageous actions of whistleblowers like Frances Haugen, who risked their careers and reputations to expose the company's inner workings.
Haugen's revelations, supported by a trove of internal documents, confirmed what many had long suspected. Facebook, driven by an insatiable appetite for profit, was willing to prioritize its bottom line over the well-being of its users, particularly its youngest and most vulnerable.
Internal memos and presentations reveal a company obsessed with metrics, where user engagement is king and ethical considerations are often treated as an afterthought.
Employees who raised concerns about the potential harm caused by the platform were silenced or ignored, their warnings dismissed in favor of maintaining the company's relentless pursuit of growth and profitability.
This culture of exploitation is perhaps most evident in Facebook's approach to children and teenagers. Internal research, later made public by Haugen, revealed that Instagram, a Facebook-owned platform popular among young people, was having a demonstrably negative impact on the mental health and body image of teenage girls.
Despite these findings, Facebook chose to bury the research and continue its aggressive pursuit of this vulnerable demographic.
Facebook's willingness to exploit children for profit is a betrayal of trust of the highest order. Parents, who once entrusted the company with their children's online safety, are now left questioning whether their children are merely pawns in a cynical game of data collection and targeted advertising.
The revelations of Facebook's internal culture have exposed a company willing to compromise its values and betray the trust of its users in the relentless pursuit of profit.
The illusion of consent, how Facebook circumvents parental rights. One of the most insidious aspects of Facebook's exploitation of children is its systematic circumvention of parental consent.
The company's terms of service, often lengthy and filled with legal jargon, are designed to obfuscate rather than clarify the extent of data collection and the potential risks involved.
Children, eager to join their friends and peers in the online world, are often unaware of the implications of clicking agree to these terms and conditions. They may not fully comprehend the concept of data privacy or the potential consequences of sharing personal information online.
This lack of understanding, coupled with Facebook's deliberate obfuscation of its data practices, creates an environment where children are effectively tricked into surrendering their privacy.
Facebook's exploitation of children's naivete is particularly egregious, given the existence of laws like the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, in the United States, which specifically prohibits companies from collecting personal information from children under the age of 13 without verifiable parental consent.
However, Facebook has repeatedly found ways to circumvent these regulations, exploiting loopholes and relying on lax enforcement to continue targeting young users.
One common tactic employed by Facebook is age gating, where users are asked to enter their birth date before accessing certain features or services. However, this system is easily bypassed, as children can simply enter a false birth date to gain access.
Facebook makes little effort to verify the accuracy of this information, essentially turning a blind eye to the widespread practice of children misrepresenting their age to access age-restricted content and services.
Section 4. A call for accountability, holding Facebook responsible for its actions. The time for complacency is over. Facebook's egregious exploitation of children, driven by a toxic combination of corporate greed and technological prowess, demands a swift and decisive response.
Lawmakers, regulators, and civil society must unite to hold the company accountable for its actions and to implement robust safeguards that protect the privacy and well-being of children in the digital age.
The first step towards accountability is enacting and enforcing comprehensive data privacy legislation that prioritizes the rights of children. Laws like COPPA, while a step in the right direction, are woefully inadequate in the face of Facebook's sophisticated data mining practices. New legislation must close existing loopholes, strengthen parental consent requirements, and impose meaningful penalties for violations.
Beyond legislation, there is a need for a fundamental shift in the way we perceive and regulate the tech industry. The current model, characterized by self-regulation and a blind faith in technological progress, has clearly failed to protect the most vulnerable among us.
We must move towards a more precautionary approach, one that prioritizes ethical considerations and places the burden of proof on tech companies to demonstrate the safety and societal benefit of their products and services.
The fight to protect children from Facebook's predatory practices is not just about safeguarding their privacy. It is about protecting their childhoods. It is about ensuring that their online experiences are enriching and empowering, rather than exploitative and harmful.
It is about creating a digital world where children can learn, grow, and connect without fear of manipulation or exploitation. Section 1. Empowering our children, fostering digital literacy and critical thinking. In the face of Facebook's relentless pursuit of young minds, parents might feel overwhelmed, tempted to throw their hands up in despair, or impose draconian restrictions on their children's online activities.
However, the most effective weapon against exploitation isn't fear or prohibition, it's empowerment. By cultivating digital literacy and critical thinking skills in our children, we equip them with the tools they need to navigate the digital landscape safely, responsibly, and with a discerning eye.
Digital literacy, in this context, goes beyond knowing how to use a smartphone or navigate a social media app. It's about understanding the underlying mechanics of the digital world, from the algorithms that shape our online experiences to the motivations of those who seek to influence us.
It's about teaching our children to question the information they encounter online, to distinguish between fact and fiction, and to recognize the persuasive intent behind advertising and marketing messages.
Open and honest communication is paramount. Create a safe space for your children to discuss their online experiences, their concerns, and even their mistakes. Encourage them to share what they see and do online, not with fear of judgment or punishment, but with the understanding that you are there to guide and support them.
Make it clear that you are a resource, a trusted confidant in their digital journeys. Don't shy away from difficult conversations about online risks such as cyberbullying, online predators, and the spread of misinformation.
Equip your children with the knowledge and critical thinking skills they need to identify and respond to these threats appropriately. Many online resources, including those provided by reputable organizations like Common Sense Media and the Family Online Safety Institute, offer age-appropriate guidance on navigating these complex issues. Section 2. Navigating the digital landscape: tools and strategies for parental control.
While fostering digital literacy is essential, it is not a foolproof solution. Parents can and should utilize the tools and strategies available to establish healthy boundaries, monitor their children's online activities, and mitigate the risks associated with excessive or inappropriate use of social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
Most smartphones and tablets come equipped with built-in parental control features that allow parents to set screen time limits, restrict access to certain apps and websites, and monitor their child's online activity. Familiarize yourself with these features and utilize them to establish clear boundaries and guidelines for your child's online behavior.
In addition to built-in features, a variety of third-party parental control apps offer even more robust monitoring and filtering capabilities. These apps can provide detailed reports on your child's online activity, alert you to potentially harmful content, and even block access to specific websites or apps based on your chosen criteria.
Beyond technological solutions, it's crucial to establish healthy tech habits within your family. Create tech-free zones in your home, such as the dinner table or bedrooms, where devices are put away and face-to-face interaction is prioritized. Encourage activities that promote physical activity, creativity, and social interaction in the real world.
Remember, The goal is not to completely isolate your children from the digital world, but to teach them how to navigate it safely, responsibly, and in a way that promotes their well-being. By setting clear expectations, maintaining open communication, and utilizing the tools available, parents can help their children develop a healthy and balanced relationship with technology.
Section 3. Uniting for change, amplifying our voices, and demanding accountability.
Protecting our children from the predatory practices of companies like Facebook is not a battle that parents can win alone. It requires a collective effort, a united front of parents, educators, policymakers, and concerned citizens demanding greater accountability from tech giants and advocating for stronger regulations to safeguard the well-being of children in the digital age.
We must make our voices heard in the halls of power, urging our elected officials to prioritize the online safety of children and to enact meaningful legislation that holds tech companies accountable for their actions. Support organizations and initiatives that align with these goals, and consider contacting your representatives directly to express your concerns and advocate for change.
Beyond the realm of politics, we can foster a culture of awareness and responsibility within our own communities. Engage in conversations with other parents, educators, and community leaders about the challenges and potential solutions related to online safety. Share resources, organize workshops, and work together to create a safer and more supportive digital environment for our children.
Stay informed about the latest developments in online safety legislation, research, and advocacy efforts. Numerous organizations and publications provide valuable information and resources to help parents stay ahead of the curve and make informed decisions about their children's online lives.
The digital world is here to stay, and it holds immense potential for education, connection, and creativity. However, we must remain vigilant in our efforts to protect those most vulnerable to its potential harms. By working together, advocating for change, and empowering our children with the knowledge and skills they need to thrive in the digital age, we can create a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Section 1. The unseen price of free platforms, our children's future.
As we've journeyed through the intricate and often unsettling workings of Facebook's advertising machine, one stark truth has emerged. The price of free platforms is far greater than we ever imagined. While we may not be directly charged for using Facebook or Instagram, the cost is extracted in the form of our children's privacy, their attention, and ultimately, their well-being. The data they unwittingly surrender, the vulnerabilities they unknowingly expose, are meticulously collected, analyzed, and ultimately weaponized against them, shaping their perceptions, influencing their choices, and potentially compromising their future.
The illusion of a free and open internet where connection and information flow freely crumbles under the weight of this realization. The digital landscape, far from being a level playing field, is carefully engineered to maximize engagement, extract data, and ultimately generate profits. Our children, immersed in this environment from a young age, are at risk of becoming mere products, their lives and identities commodified for the benefit of tech giants and advertisers.
The consequences of this digital exploitation extend far beyond the immediate impact on our children's mental health and well-being. By normalizing the commodification of personal data, by creating a generation accustomed to constant surveillance and manipulation, we risk undermining the very foundations of privacy, autonomy, and informed consent. The future we are shaping is one where the lines between the real and the virtual are increasingly blurred, where individual agency is eroded, and where the digital sphere becomes a breeding ground for exploitation and control.
Yet amidst these sobering realities, there is hope. By acknowledging the true costs of our digital dependence, by recognizing the urgent need for course correction, we can begin to reclaim control, to chart a new path forward, that prioritizes the well-being of our children and safeguards their future in the digital age. Section 2. Reclaiming control, a collective responsibility, not a parental burden.
The responsibility for protecting children from the predatory practices of tech giants like Facebook cannot and should not fall solely on the shoulders of parents. It requires a collective awakening, a societal shift in consciousness that recognizes the urgency of this issue and demands accountability from those in power. We must move beyond the narrative of individual responsibility, the notion that parents simply need to monitor their kids better or limit their screen time, and confront the systemic forces that have created this crisis.
This begins with demanding greater transparency and accountability from tech companies themselves. We must push for meaningful regulations that prioritize user privacy, particularly the privacy of children, over corporate profits. This includes strengthening existing laws like COPPA, closing loopholes, and imposing significant penalties for violations. We must also demand greater transparency in the algorithms that shape our online experiences, exposing the mechanisms of manipulation and empowering users to make informed choices.
Beyond legislation, we must equip our children with the critical thinking skills and digital literacy they need to navigate the online world safely and responsibly. This requires a multi-pronged approach, involving parents, educators, and communities working together to create a culture of awareness, critical engagement, and ethical digital citizenship. We must teach our children to question the information they encounter online, to recognize bias and manipulation, and to think critically about the potential consequences of their online actions.
Finally, we must remember that the digital world is not a separate reality, but an extension of our own. The values we uphold offline, empathy, compassion, integrity, respect, must also guide our actions online. By modeling these values in our own digital lives, by engaging in thoughtful and respectful online discourse, and by prioritizing real-world connections and experiences, we can create a digital environment that is both enriching and empowering for our children. The future is not predetermined,